Hey guys, this is Justin from AndroidMeter.com, and today I have a full review of the Samsung Galaxy S4, and this one is specifically for AT&T. Enjoy! Okay, so it might be good to announce that I will be recording this review and maybe future reviews if this turns out okay through Glass, my Google Glass. Sorry if it is shaky. If it's too shaky, I will make sure that I try to fix it best I can and not do it on future reviews. Okay, so for this phone, I have the white version from AT&T. Samsung was nice enough to send that over to us, and this is the 16GB model. This also comes in 32 and 64, but remember that behind this cover is a micro SD card slot so that you can add in up to 64 gigabytes of additional storage. So let's do a quick hardware rundown. Well, I'll make this as fast as possible. In the front, we have a 5-inch full HD 1080p display. It's Super AMOLED, and it just looks beautiful. Not really sure if you can see this in the video, but the colors just pop. On the top, we have proximity sensors, a 1.9 megapixel camera, and the speaker. At the bottom, we have the home button, and see if we can get it to pop up. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a back and a menu button right there. On the right side is your power button. On the top is your 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, and IR blaster. You can control your TV with this phone as a remote, not just a Google TV, a regular TV. On the left is your volume rocker. On the bottom is your primary microphone and micro USB port. In the back is your 13 megapixel camera, LED flash, and speaker grill. There's an AT&T branding logo here, Galaxy S4 logo, and Samsung logo at the top of the front. But that's about it. Let's dive into the underneath the back cover. This is actually very difficult to get into sometimes. It's very flimsy. In the back here, you see your camera, your flash, these metal pins, which Samsung tells us that in the future there will be additional covers that you can get in the back so you can actually do wireless charging. This is your micro SD card slot, which, like I said, you can put up to another 64 gigabytes of storage, your micro SIM card, and your 2600 milliamp hour battery, and your speaker. That's pretty much it. Let's see if we can get this back on here. There's 1,000 little things to click on, so don't be surprised if you try to click it on and it doesn't. You find one later. In addition, this phone is running on a Snapdragon 1.9 gigahertz quad-core processor, the Snapdragon 600. It's the fastest mobile processor out there at the moment. There's 2 gigs of RAM, NFC, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so when looking at this phone, a lot of people say it looks exactly like the S3. Well, besides the bigger screen, it's also a lot thinner, and it's got a little different body. It's only 7.99 millimeters thin, well, thick, but still thin, and it has a more boxed look to it almost, and truthfully, it feels amazing in the hand. When I first unboxed this, I noticed that this was one of the best fitting phones in my hand, and I have a small hand, so it's just an amazing feel. It's great hardware. It is plastic, which a lot of people say they don't like, but I still like it. The back is like a slick plastic. There's a little pattern underneath. Not sure if you can see that at all, but there's no texture. It's just straight plastic. The darker colors are reported to be fingerprint magnets, so be careful with that if you are gonna think about getting like the blue or the black version. On the front, there's your home button. You can use that or the power button to turn it on. When you turn it on, you got your home screen, so you can either just swipe and then unlock the phone, or you can set up quick buttons, and so that you can launch quickly into different applications like your camera. One of the things you might be able to see is the new Air View mode, where it's almost like the Note 2, where when you hovered over the stylus, it showed a little indicator. Well, now you can do that with your finger. I'm not sure if you can see that little dot following my finger. But now you can do stuff without actually touching the screen. Besides that, it's very, very similar to the S3 for software. It's running a skinned version of Android. Their skin is called TouchWiz, of course. It's a little newer. There's a little new features and stuff, but nothing too special. When you go in, you have your main screens. I've extremely customized mine. I always use the same layout basically, and it's just I use my favorites, and they stock it with these huge Samsung widgets that are just obnoxious that I can't stand. You can pinch, and then you have full access to it. You can delete and add new cards. They start you off with 5, and you can set which one you want to home. When you go into your app launcher, you're given all your different apps. Unlike stock Android, you actually have to click into widgets to get into the widget panel. Up top, you have your notifications. They kind of changed this up from the last version of TouchWiz. You can now, you have on the top, you have all your different toggles, and then you also have your brightness. And I should have mentioned this earlier. This is running Android 4.2.2, so it has the secondary notification pull-down window. Unlike stock Android, where you have your information and your other quick toggles, this one opens up every single toggle there is. A cool feature, though, is that you can go into the editing mode. You can change around which ones are on top and which ones you want at the bottom. So say I wanted mobile data option to be the first one at the top. It switches with the one that was there. Now when I go back, that's right there. You can also just scroll through them, but sometimes it's faster just to have your main 5 and then go into it and change whatever else you want. So there's not much to talk about, so let's go in the camera. So they changed the camera a decent amount. They very much focused it after their smart camera. So on the side you have your photo, your video camera. There's your modes. The modes are different because there's stuff like auto, night, sports. Those are normal. Panorama. But this is a cool one. This is one that's called eraser. So like if someone's in the back of your photo you don't want, you can just get rid of them. HDR mode, animated mode. This is like making a GIF. And then others. Oh, sound and shot. This one is a picture, but then it records audio in the background, so you can record audio from wherever you're at. Best face. This just basically takes 20 photos of you, and then you get to choose which ones you like best. And same thing for best photo. Over here you have the ability to change to the front or rear facing camera. Like there I am with my glass. Here you can take a picture of the background and the foreground and put it in together like that, if you can see that. And then that's pretty much it. Just your normal settings. You can add effects, and that's it for the camera. And for the gallery, it's sorted into your different Facebook profile things and your actual camera. With that air view that I was talking about earlier, you can hover over and get quick previews of different things. So let's say we want to go into my Google Glass photos. I can hover over, see if it'll work for me, hover over different photos, and it'll give me a quick preview of each one. There's a lot more air view and air gestures, but I found that they don't normally work the best. So, in the settings, they've sorted into 4 different categories: connections, my device, accounts, and more. For connections, it's mainly your Wi-Fi, your NFC, all your different ways that your phone will connect to different networks. So this one makes sense. But then when you go into My Device, you have a huge amount of different things. Your AirView settings, your call settings, your home screen mode. It's kind of clustered. Your accounts make sense, all your different accounts. But then you have more. You have your battery and your account manager. It's like, why wouldn't that be My Device? It gets a little confusing. It needs to be cleaned up in my opinion. About device. So this is where you can see it's running 4.2.2, which is the newest version of Android. You can do your Android flinger. Let's see if we can get it to work. There we go. And you just fling little Android beams. On the home screen, when you long press, you can set wallpaper, apps and widgets, folder, and page. That's one thing that should be brought up, is you can't, like in stock Android, you cannot just hover over another app to make a folder. You actually have to take the app, go up, create a folder, makes this folder, and then you stick another app in there. Speaking of the folder, one of my biggest issues is when you click it, is that slow animation. When I'm using my Nexus, I can quickly click the app I want at the bottom. If the app I want is at the bottom, I have to wait for this thing to load. I hope that's a setting you can change. Also, when you're holding an app to move it, you have these it shows you different panels, and you can see how the layout is apps and widgets on those panels already, or you can just create a new one to just add it to. Besides that, that's pretty much it. It's not that different from the S3. It's mainly a hardware upgrade, internal upgrades, and a slight upgrade to the TouchWiz software, which is nice and it's very smooth. I do have to say, for an OEM phone, this is probably one of the best phones I've ever used. The moment I held it, I knew I was in love with it. With the announcement of the Nexus, the stock Android experience on the S4 and the HTC One, I think I would have picked this phone up if I was in the market for a personal phone. The hardware feels amazing. It's one of the best feeling phones I have ever used, and I have only said that about the Nexus 4 before. Besides that, that's pretty much it. The phone is amazing. You can pick it up at AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile. I believe they're all around $200. Don't quote me on that. I will have the link in the description below for the full review and a link to purchase this yourself. This is Justin from AndroidMeter.com. Thanks for watching.